Hello and welcome to Business Africa, your most authoritative business program in Africa. I am Afolake Oyinloye. The top stories this week. CFA Franc currency review. Spotlight on Nigerian agricultural entrepreneur. Female auto repair entrepreneur beat unemployment and gender prejudice. Only French-speaking African countries in the world use a currency that hasn't been revised over 30 years. Some analysts say that they've outgrown the CFA franc and that this country should either abandon it or it should be unpegged from the euro. In an exclusive interview with the president of African Development Bank, Akinwunmi Adesina, it revealed that the CFA has helped to tame the inflation in its zones. Details with Jean-David Mihamle and Micheal Dibie.
President of the African Development Bank, AFDB, Akinwunmi Adesina, says the CFA has helped to tame inflation in the zone. However, he stated that a situation where the currency is overvalued makes it less competitive in the global market.
And the CFA has actually served them well, in the sense that it has helped to be able to allow them to keep inflation down. If you look at the situation today in CFA zone versus non-CFA zone, the inflation in the CFA zone is much lower, and that's because of the stable currency that you have pegged to the euro, and that's been good for them.
Executive Secretary of the United Nations Commission for Africa, Carlos Lopez, says the West and Central Africa franc are outdated and need to be reviewed. But Adesina says there are two coins to the CFA currency issue.
You may not have the leeway you need to be able to adjust your monetary policy to be able to affect your exchange rate so that you can be more competitive when you are exporting into a very, very dynamic and highly competitive global market. So that there are both sides to it that one will have to look at.
France created the CFA franc for its African colonies in 1945 and guarantees a fixed exchange rate with the euro.
There are other challenges there in terms of trade restrictions and also labor mobility problems, so that you are still not able to capture all of what you need to capture. But as an African Development Bank, we're very supportive of the approach to have convergence in many of these countries, and we'll see how it leads. So far, there's discussions on them, but we'll see where it leads.
The French finance minister said in April that France is open to changing its arrangement, but the initiative must come from member countries.
Here is an interesting story of an accountant and computer scientist in Niger who abandoned his profession to go into agribusiness. Abdulaziz Mahamadou, the passionate agripreneur, as they call it, started his farm 3 years ago on a 7,000 square meters land and has now expanded to 5 hectares. His main produce, moringa tea. Let's find out more from Louis Rodrigue and Selina Ntombong.
These rugged lands covered by tall grass are the latest investment of Nigerian agricultural entrepreneur Abdulaziz Mahamadou. Accountant and computer scientist abandoned his profession to take on agricultural activities.
J'ai décidé de vivre de ma passion.
I decided to give up my passion because I'm convinced that the sector is growing in Niger, and because we have land. I decided to implement an economic model which for me, I'm convinced, is eventually profitable. In 2006, Mahamadou bought his first hectares of land. Several years down the line, he now produces moringa leaves used to treat illnesses such as anemia, arthritis, asthma and cancer, amongst others. We started with an area of 7,000 square kilometers, and after 3 years, we were able to reach the 5 hectares we see here. In reality, the 5 hectares required the acquisition of a field and 3 contiguous gardens. Very popular amongst the Nigerian population for these medicinal virtues, and as completely food, moringa is now advertised by public health specialists. Mohamedou's Garubi farm aims to set up a large processing unit for these leaves. The picked leaves are dried, crushed, sieved to give the powder and moringa tea. For the time being, the farm is going through a teething stage but expects to penetrate a larger market. However, in 3 months of processing activities, the developer was able to have about 15 points of sale. This raw material is bought by customers from Burkina Faso and Mali. The moringa culture is said to have contributed about 230 million euros to the country's GDP in 2014.
Coming up, she has ventured into a male-dominated profession in South Africa, and getting her hands dirty is no problem. Stay with us to find out more about Dibie, the female auto mechanic.